Joining me today is Erik Bay from the station, here to talk a little bit about the NFL football, especially the quarterback scenario going on right now. Erik, how's it going?
I'm doing pretty well. How about yourself?
Good, thank you. Excited to get down and talk some football. So let's just kick it off here right now with the New Orleans Saints. They signed a quarterback who we've heard some controversy about, especially with his interceptions in the previous seasons. That's Jameis Winston. Erik, what are your thoughts on this signing?
It's an interesting move, and I think it's really low risk, and a possibility of a high reward. Obviously, Drew Brees was hurt last year, and you look at what Teddy Bridgewater did when he came in relief. I'm not sure that they will get that ability out of him when he does come into the room. But again, it is a good chance, and low signing, low money. So it does look like it could be pretty promising for them, and also a chance for Jameis Winston too to learn from Drew Brees and Sean Payton, two of the best minds in football right now.
Yeah, I mean, Winston, he's a high-risk, high-reward kind of quarterback. He said he got LASIK eye surgery over the summer, so maybe that'll help him, because one thing that he did mention was his depth perception was off. Now, Erik, as a quarterback, you'd think that depth perception is the most important thing, no?
Yeah, well, we've talked about this too, and obviously when you have receivers running down the field, depth perception is the difference between hitting them perfect and throwing it 5 yards down the field to the safety over the top for an interception. So I don't think that can be blamed for all his interception troubles, but it can't hurt, obviously. And again, your eyes are pretty important trying to see that field as a quarterback.
And we mentioned Teddy Bridgewater, who came in to help out the Saints when Brees was out. Bridgewater is now going to take over for Cam Newton. Cam Newton's probably the most interesting quarterback still left in free agency. Erik, why do you think teams haven't picked him up?
Well, I think a lot of teams have their quarterback situation pretty much settled. I think the only few teams that really could use a quarterback are, obviously, you look at teams like the New England Patriots, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and especially the Chicago Bears. So I think a lot of teams really, it's not much of an upgrade if you do sign him in free agency. And I guess it all really depends on what he's looking for money-wise, because that might be an issue too. Obviously, a lot of teams are tight against the cap. And a lot of teams, there was a good quarterback draft this year too at the top. So he's not really one of those higher-end options. So what I see for him is possibly, once some injuries do hit here, if the season does start as scheduled, is look kind of that first month of the season, and he might be picked up there as somebody to replace some of those injuries. Because again, I'm not sure at this point if he's really an upgrade if you do sign him over what a lot of these other teams have.
Another worry of mine is his potential of being probably a locker room problem. You've seen how he interacts with some of the media, even just the way he conducts and carries himself. That's something that could be looked at by teams, added on to the money problems and whatnot. Another team that's having some money problems, the Dallas Cowboys, and they did not make things easier for themselves by signing Andy Dalton, the 32-year-old quarterback, formerly with the Bengals. Erik, what are your thoughts on that signing?
I think it's pretty low risk. I think the timing is what's most interesting, and I'm obviously not a guy who's going to read into things too much, but it kind of tells me, I guess, if you want to hype it up a little bit, that especially when a guy like Dak Prescott isn't signed right now, that it could say that Jerry Jones is willing to hold out, because obviously Dak Prescott wants that big-time $30 million money of a starting star quarterback, and he hasn't really shown that yet. But I feel like this is kind of Jerry Jones signaling that, hey, we'll go with the, I guess, kind of proven option. He's dependable. He can get the job done. He'll be serviceable. And then they'll hold out and see what happens if they can get that number down for Dak Prescott.
Now, does Dak Prescott, do you think he deserves that kind of money? We're talking Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson kind of money. Is he quite in that tier yet?
Well, I don't think most of those guys who are in that tier belong in that tier. So I'm going to say no. And you look at guys like Kirk Cousins and what he did in Washington, he didn't really do much. I don't think they ever made the playoffs with him at quarterback, and yet he still got about $28 million a season from the Vikings. So for me, no, he definitely doesn't. He obviously hasn't had the sustained playoff success. And again, also you look at the weapons around him, it's all about, is he making those weapons better, or are the weapons making him better? So for me, it's not worth it. But again, it's what the market has set when you look at these guys. You mentioned Rodgers, you talk Matt Ryan, some of these guys, $30 million a season. It's what the market dictates. And the problem with the Cowboys, too, is they are up against the cap with Ezekiel Elliott's new contract, Amari Cooper as well. So they're in some trouble right now.
Now switching gears here quickly, one of the NFL greatest coaches of all time, Don Shula, passed away, 90 years old. One of the best known for his undefeated season, only undefeated season in the NFL. Erik, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, obviously just a great legend of the game, and a lot of people nowadays talk Bill Belichick is the greatest coach of all time, but I think they kind of forget what exactly Don Shula did for the game with the Baltimore Colts and the Miami Dolphins. 33 seasons as an NFL head coach, only 2 losing seasons, and he's the winningest head coach of all time. And you mentioned he went to 6 Super Bowls, 1, 2, and then obviously the cherry on top, that only undefeated season with the Dolphins, 1972. So just a great motivator, a great coach, a good offensive mind, and just an ambassador for his 90 years on the planet here for the NFL. So he will be sorely missed by the NFL community.
And our thoughts and prayers go out to his family. Erik, thank you, as always, for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to being back in studio.